All right, class. Today we're going to do our first page of notes in quarter 3. So we're going to put here in the corner Q3. Let's put page 1. The title of this page is going to be Systems of Linear Equation Word Problems. Systems. Tyler, go ahead and write this down, babe. Of linear equation word problems. Okay, guys, please write this with me because remember at the end, we're going to take pictures, put an S on this, and put this in our digital interactive notebook. We don't want to get behind, okay? Remember, if I'm moving too fast for you, then please just politely let me know that I need to slow down a little bit, okay? And I'm going to pause for the calls because I see a couple people that are still writing. All right. For systems of equation word problems, there are some things that you must know, okay? Some things that I've got to review to make sure that you can fully understand how to solve a word problem. And one of those things is knowing what a linear equation is, okay? This is super important. Linear equations are equations that graph straight lines. So we're going to write linear equations, and we're going to write are equations that graph straight lines, that graph straight lines. Okay, so these are equations that when you graph them, it's going to form a straight line. Okay, here are some examples of what they look like. We're going to do 4 examples. So I'm going to do 4 small coordinate planes where I label this is my x-axis, the horizontal number line, and this is my y-axis, the vertical number line. And I'm going to draw 4 of them, okay? Because I'm going to draw 4 examples of what a linear equation or a straight line looks like. The different kinds. Okay. All right, so these are the different types of linear equations. You have linear equations that graph lines with a positive slope. That's where the line is going up. You have linear equations that graph lines with a negative slope. That's where the line is going down. As x increases, y increases. So from left to right, the line is going down. It starts from the left, it's up here. And as you move towards the right, the line is going down. From the left, the line is down here. And as you move to the right, the line is going up. Positive slope, negative slope. Another type of linear equation is where you have just a flat line. It has 0 slope to it. It's a horizontal line. This has 0 slope. And the last kind of linear equation that you could have are lines that are vertical, the up and down lines. This has an undefined slope. You'd have to climb this line. You couldn't walk up this line. This has undefined slope. So positive slope, negative slope, 0 slope, and undefined slope. And we can write those in. This is positive slope. This line has a positive slope. This line has a negative slope. This line has 0 slope. And this line has undefined slope. And this should all be in a review, but if it's not, that's okay. I'm going to pause for the calls. All right. The next thing that you need to understand, and we've kind of talked about this already, is what is a system of linear equations? You know what a linear equation is, which are equations that graph straight lines, but what's a system of that? Well, a system is more than one of anything. A bus system is more than one bus. A school system is more than one school. Okay, a body system has more than one body part. So a system of linear equations is more than one linear equation. System of linear equations is more than one linear equation. System of linear equations is more than one linear equation. Okay, and I'll pause real quickly. All right, so now that you know what a linear equation is, and pause for the cause, I got a question in the chat. All right, so you know what a linear equation is, you know what a system of linear equations are. The next thing you have to know is that linear equations are written in different forms or in different ways. So that's the next thing. I'm going to put bullets right here so you know that I'm listing the things that you should know. So linear equations are written in many forms. Linear equations are written in many forms. There's only one form that we're going to be writing a linear equation in, but just note that even if an equation is not written in that form, doesn't mean that it's not linear. But this is just the only form that we have to know for this particular course. And the form that we have to know for this particular course is slope-intercept form. Okay? Remember we talked about a form as the way something looks. When an equation looks this way, this is the type of form it is. And it looks like this, y equals mx plus b. Where your x and y, you leave it, okay? Leave it the way it is. And m and b are numbers. M and b are numbers. The number that's attached to the x, we talked about this many times, is our slope or our rate. Okay? Rate of change, slope, they mean the same thing. They are synonyms. The number that has no variable attached to it is our starting amount or our initial value or our y-intercept. So I'm going to use the word that we've been using first, which we've been using y-intercept, where the line crosses the y-axis. But that number is also considered to be the starting amount as well as the initial value or initial value. These are the different names for the number that has no variable attached to it. It's either where the line crosses the y-axis, your starting amount in a word problem, or the initial value. All of them mean the same thing. And I'm going to pause to give you a chance to write, okay? All right. The different names for X and Y, I'm going to write out here to the side. These are synonyms for X and Y. We talked about these before also, but it's super important to know so that when you're writing equations for a word problem, you'll know what everything means. Okay. Another word for X values is your input values. This is a synonym. Or your domain values. If they ask you for the meaning of X, they sometimes don't say, what is the meaning of X? They'll say, what is the independent variable? So another word for the meaning of X is independent variable. What is the meaning of X? What is the independent variable? Okay. Let's look at the Y. Other words that mean or that represent your Y values. You can say Y values, obviously, or you can say output. Another word for your Y values is what are the output values? What are the range values? That's another word to say y values. And when you're looking for the meaning of y, sometimes they say, what is the meaning of y? Or sometimes they'll say, what's the dependent variable? So your dependent variable is not asking you to list those y values, it's asking you for the meaning of y. What's the meaning of y? Or what's the dependent variable? Okay. And last, sometimes what you will see is f of x. F of x is the same as saying y, and y is the same as saying f of x. It's another way to write y. It's another way to write y. And I'll pause to give you a chance to write. The formula for finding the slope, you already know that to be rise over run, or you know it to be m is equal to y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. These are all the things that you need to know before just diving into solving systems of linear equation word problems. And I'll pause to make sure that you have this written. Okay, I'm going to use a second sheet for page 1 because I don't have enough steps to write. I don't have enough space to write the steps. Okay, so I'm going to move to another page. And this is still going to be page 1 because this is the same concept. So I'm still going to write page 1 here so that when I take my pictures, I know that all of this goes together, okay? So now we're going to write steps for solving system. Yes, baby. Okay, give me 1 second, okay? Word problems. Okay. It looks like I drew a line through it. Sorry about that. I'm gonna pause to give you, I'm gonna go back to that page. I'm gonna pause my video. Yeah. All right, guys, so we're gonna write our steps down. These are a lot of steps. I'm gonna tell you it's 7 steps, okay? You're not gonna always use all 7 steps, obviously, for every word problem because all word problems might be slightly different, okay? All right, so the first thing that we obviously gonna do when you do any word problem is you need to read the problem. Super important that you read the problem. That is number 1. Okay. Number 2, identify the question. Identify what do they want? What's the question? Identify the question. What are they asking you to do? What do they want? What should your answer look like? Okay. Number 3, find important information. Find important information. And for these, some of the things that you are looking for is, of course, you're looking for the slope. But in a word problem, it's not going to say slope. It's going to be some type of rate, 5 miles per hour, some type of rate. Okay. You're going to be looking for rates. And since you know you're dealing with a system, it's going to be more than one rate. Okay. You're going to be looking for y-intercepts. And remember, in a word problem, they are not going to say y-intercepts. They will probably say some type of initial value or starting amount. So basically, you're looking for a starting amount of some sort. And sometimes they'll give you the starting amount before they give you the rate of increase or decrease, okay? So these are kind of the things that you're looking for. Okay, keep it simple. Number 4, from the information that you collect, this is how you're going to write your equations. So your next step is to write the equations. And you're going to write the equations in slope-intercept form. And remember, your slope-intercept form is y equals mx plus b, where your m is going to be the rate and your b is going to be the starting amount. Okay, and I'll pause to give you a chance to write, okay? Number 5, you're going to solve the system you're going to do some of these things, okay? You're either going to graph them to see where they cross, going to either graph them to see where they cross. Some people make function tables. Sometimes making function tables is easy for people to see what points they share. This is a function table. Probably have 2 of them to see when the points are the same. Okay. Or you might lastly set the equations equal to each other and solve for the missing variable. Set equations equal to each other and solve for missing variable. And of course, I know I need to wait a little bit because I said a lot there. So I'm going to pause for the calls. So this very last step, the 6th step, is just check your answer and make sure that it makes sense, okay? Check your answer and make sure it makes sense. Okay, and that's the last step there. And I'll pause for the calls. Okay, here we're going to do this one together. First step is to read the problem and identify what the question is. That's the first 2 steps. It says Anne is trying to choose between 2 cell phone plans. Okay, so the first plan with Vodafone costs $20 per month, with cost the costing additional 25 cents per minute. So every additional cost is going to be 25 cents per minute. The second company, Cellnet, charges $40 per month, but costs only 5 cents per minute. They want to know, this is the question, how many minutes are the plans the same amount of money? Okay, how many minutes will it take for the plans to be the same amount of money? All right, so that's the question. All right, we have identified what the question is. So now we're going to find the information. We got 2 plans. And remember, since it's a system, that means we're going to write more than one equation. So here we got we got the first plan, and we got the second plan, plan 2. Let's go back and look at the first plan. Because remember, we have to have two equations because it's a system. So we need to find important facts. We need to find the slope. Where am I getting this from? I'm getting this from our steps. We did this. We identified the question. Now we're looking for rates and starting amounts for each equation, okay? So for the first plan, we got to figure out what the rate is and what the starting amount is. Well, it says the first plan costs $20 every month or per month. And for every additional minute, it's 25 cents per minute. It looks like both of these are rates. But what we have to take into consideration is that you automatically are paying the $20 for each month. So the $20 is going to be the starting amount that you have to pay. So your B or your starting amount here is $20. So they gave you the starting amount first. In addition to, okay, look at this. Additionally, 25 cents per minute. The 25 cents per minute is going to be the rate because for every single minute, they're being charged 25 cents. So this is your important information here. 25 cents for every single minute. So now you have your starting amount of $20, and for every minute, it's going to be 25 cents. The second plan, okay, and I'll pause for the calls to give you a chance to write that down, okay? The second plan is this. The second plan is this. The SailNet charges $40 per month, but it only costs 5 cents per minute. So again, the starting amount, your B or your Y-intercept, remember I told you that your Y-intercept or your B is your starting amount, okay? So your starting amount for this one is $40. You automatically have to pay that $40. The rate, the cost per minute is 5 cents. So to write 5 cents as a decimal is 0.05. So it's 5 cents for every minute. So now my very next step is going to be to write the equations. So the equation here is going in y equals mx plus b form is going to be, slide this up a little bit. M is 25 cents, so I'll put 25 cents here. X plus my b is 20, positive 20. So this is my equation for the first plan. My equation for the second plan, that's written in y equals mx plus b form, slope-intercept form. Y is equal to, my M is 5 cents per minute. So it's 5 cents times X plus a starting amount of $40. So now I have a system. I have two equations. Y is equal to 0.25 cent X plus 20. Y is equal to 0.5 cent X plus 40. This is my system of equations. Okay? Please make sure that you copy that down. And I want you to do number 2 on your own. I want you to do number 2 on your own. I'm going to stop my video here. If you need to watch the video again, please make sure you watch the video again. I'm going to go over number 2 tomorrow to make sure that you have it correctly. But it is in your best interest to make sure that you understand what's going on, that you try number 2 on your own, okay? All right, guys, I'm going to stop the video. Have a good day.